Hi, Assalamualaikum and very good afternoons. So my name is Dr. Muhammad Nur Hidayat bin Muhammad Salim. I'm from School of Tourism, Hospitality and Event Management, Universiti Utara Malaysia. So basically this is my innovation called KitchenQuest, a gamified recipe to performance learning system for GHOCK2034 Commercial Food Preparation. So basically, as you can see on the screen, this is my team members, led by me as the lead inventor, and then Puan Umi Umaima, Puan Siti Amina, Dr. Hassan, Encik Nur Hafizi, and Dr. Nur Amalina. So my project description. So this is my innovations. Alright. So basically, this KitchenQuest innovate because of one problem. Every semester I see in my own kitchen class, normally we, as a chef lecturer, give students the standardised recipe before the practical class. The recipe is complete. It has the quantities, the method, the yield, but most students open it for the first time when they enter the practical class. So, the first 20 minutes, usually, students spending reading the recipe instead of cooking. And as the lecturer, I have no way of knowing whether they already prepared until they make a first mistake. Alright, so what is the solution? Based on that, I have invented one platform which is KitchenQuest. As you can see on the screen, that is the sign-in screenshot from my website. This platform solves this by reversing the usual order. The recipe is no longer given traditionally, but it has to be earned. Before a student can open the recipe, they must answer questions drawn from the exact recipe. On the left, as I mentioned, is a sign-in screen. The student required to enter their name and metric number so that they can log in and then they can browse through the questions. So basically, all the students that enroll to my class can take part in answering the questions. And basically, if moving forward to the next semester, I will update the student name based on the semester intakes. Okay, the objective for my innovation is, we have 4 objectives. First, to make engagement with the recipe active rather than passive. Secondly, to let students rehearse professional decision before they handle food. Third, to give immediate explanatory feedback, so even a wrong answer still teach them like they are learning in a class. And fourth, last but not least, to produce an auditable record of preparation, so I know where or how or whoever already ready for the practical class. Okay, so we move on to the originality and the creativity of this innovation. Alright, so let's go to the usage of the platform, how it's really work. Okay, the journey is simple basically. The student need to sign in. They choose the cuisine module for the week, for example Malay cuisine. They are required to clear 4 challenges. Passing mark will unlock the actual standardized recipe and issue a printed slip. And basically, that slip is their gimmick entry ticket to the station. Then in the kitchen, I reopen the system and by referring back to the same scenarios they meet online. So basically what I'm trying to do here, they are not being separated from the physical class and the online class. So basically all these two I combine into one activities. So I like doing a recap, so they know what they have done during the digital or maybe during the exploring the website. Okay. Another thing is I would like you to explore the website on yourself. I already prepared a QR code, so you may scan the QR code. One device are only able to scan, so you can use the username and also the password number 4 for 6 times. Alright, what make this innovation difference? As we all know, tools like Kahoot, Quizzes or even LMS Quiz only test students after teaching, and they sit separately from the course materials. Meanwhile, digital recipe collection give unrestricted access, so a student can hold the recipe without ever reading it. In KitchenQuest is different. The assessment is the gate itself, and the learning resource is the reward, and the consequences is a physical rather than numerical. So the slip that they get is not to grade them, but it's just an entry credential. This is what makes the KitchenQuest genuinely new, or what we call in culinary term is fresh from the oven. The questions in the platform are not general culinary questions. For example, as you can see on my slide, so on drop into the oil is for about 170 degrees Celsius. Burger croquette portion is range from 20 to 30 grams. Or for example, coffee creamers need to be cooked from the range of 82 to 84 degrees Celsius. So every one of those figures come from our own recipe form. A student who not open the document simply cannot pass, and that is something a generic quiz platform cannot achieve, because its questions are not tied to the document itself. This is what a student see after they signing in. Okay, as you can see on the left side of my slide, the clear kitchen unlock the recipe. So that is the page they will directly enter after they sign in. The menu is organized into 6 cuisine modules. We actually teach together. They hold 24 standard recipe, and every one of them start with lock, so they cannot straight away download the recipe. So you also can see in the progress layer here the experience point and the chef rank, which run from the kitchen porter up to executive chef. If you're able to log in, you can see on top of the websites, they are experience, they are level, they are names already been placed at the top right of the website. When a student open a module, they can see the 4 dishes and a photograph for each recipe of the finished plate. But the recipes themselves, as I mentioned, still locked. That visibility is deliberate. They can see exactly what they are working towards, which is far more motivating than a blank screen. Below are the photograph, the 4 challenges they need to clear. Alright, so basically what I want to highlight here is this part. Here is the gate, recipe gate, and this is the heart of the innovation. Comprises of 8 questions per module, 48 across the 6 cuisines, and the pass mark is 80%. The question on the screen asks how the popiah skin is prepared for the kerabu mangga tartlet shell, and the answer is number 4. So let's say if the student cannot answer it properly, it will give them a direct answer which one is correct. So the option of the answer are shuffled every time, so nobody can memorize the pattern. Here, this is what I mentioned earlier. Alright, and however, this is the part I'm most pleased with. Every answer, right or wrong, written an explanation of the culinary principle behind it. In this example, the student learns that weighing the bergedil at 20 to 30 grams is commercialized portion control, and that the coating under matters because the flour dries the surface. The egg is the glue and the crumb is the armor. So that is the explanation, the culinary explanation student will get. Students can retry without penalty. This is a formative assessment, is not marks being graded about their assessments tied to the syllabus. No. So the purpose is to learn, but not to ranking them. Okay, when a student already passed, 2 things happen. All 4 recipe unlocked, as you can see on the screen. 100% recipe dossier unlocked, so they can download the recipe directly. Alright, and then they can read, they can try to understand further before they enter the practical class. And the system issue a printable completion slip carrying a verification code on the left. That code is derived from the student's detail, their score and the dates. So I can recompute it and confirm the slip is genuine. In my class, the rule is simple. No slip, no station. However, it's just only a gimmick to kick off a start for them to use the website as a learning platform. This is what ties the online preparation to physical access to the kitchen, and it is the part that makes students actually do it. Beyond the recipe gate, there are 3 more challenges. Kitchen floor, ask the student to route 36 real kitchen action to correct production stage, prep, cook or pass, and then second we have the mise en place race, which there are 12 production sequences, orders against the clock, 5-second penalty if they answered it wrongly, and then last game things we have is hazard hunt. It mostly about food safety. They need to answer since they already learned it since semester 1. Alright, so basically for this innovation, we have piloted it with a full cohort of 33 students in semester A to 5-2, previous semester, using a matched 5-point self-rating instrument. So over self-rated readiness rose from 2.25 under traditional recipe distribution up to 4.55 after using the KitchenQuest. So it's a gain, it's a raise about 2.34 points. The largest single gain was confident for the practical class, up to 2.94 points. A separate post-use survey also completed by a 33 student with an overall average 4.48 out of 5, in which what I want to highlight here is about the limits. These students' participation perceptions, there was no control group. They are not measure of cooking competence. Alright, beside that, we also run a GHOCK learning preferences scan with all 33 students, and apparently kinesthetic preference was the strongest or equal strongest for 26 of them, which is 79%. The mean kinesthetic score was 11.94, well above oral, reading and writing, and also visual. I want to careful here. We report this as a design context, not as a claim that teaching should be matched to individual learning styles, because the evidence for that, it shows a weak innovations. The honest observation is simply that a cohort training for kitchen work prefers doing, and that support a design where reading the recipe is coupled with time decision tasks. So for the usefulness and practicality, who benefit? So basically we have benefit to the students, where they get structured preparation and explanation after every answer, revisable on their phone. Lecturer get evidence of who prepared and which concept the cohort struggle with before the class begins. And for the institutions, they get an auditable continuous assessment record aligned with outcome-based education. And then lastly, for the profession benefits, it's help in terms of hazard and temperature control are rehearsed before student ever handle food. On the practical side, it's run with no server. For your information, this website run with no server, no database, no subscription costs, and I update my class list in a spreadsheet, not in the code. As I mentioned earlier, I will keep updated my spreadsheet or my student list based on the semester wise. Alright, in terms of commercialization potential, we see 4 stages. First, continued validation across our own cohort. Second, the adaptations, because the content and the mechanism are separate files, so the cost of bakery, pastry, or food and beverage services need only a few tweaks to change the content file, in which it's easy to reproduce. Third, it also can be licensing to other Malaysian training provider, for example Polytechnic, community colleges, MARA and ILP institutes, and also private academies that hold similar course content as GHOCK2034. And number 4, lastly, to the industry, where hotel groups can also run recurring food safety training, as most staff tend to neglect this part. The getting idea is not specific to cooking. Any training where a document must be studied before a safety critical task can use it. To close my presentation, KitchenQuest is fully functional and deployed, piloted with a complete cohort of 33 students. And as you can see on the screen, I have applied intellectual property application, and this innovation, it is submitted here to iTeLIC 2026 under category C. The next phase, we will try to add expert content validation, a lecture rated practical performance measure, and a comparison between the platform engagement record and what we actually observe in the kitchen. The core idea is simple. KitchenQuest turned the recipe from a handout, or basically the traditional handout, into something students have to earn. So they arrive at the station already knowing the dish, and practical times goes back to developing technique. That's all from me. Thank you.